Hi, this is Life After Trauma with Dr. Jan, helping you to take a stand and put an end to all the drama. Just think of me as your second mama. Hi, I am Dr. Jan, and my channel is all about the trauma and the drama of domestic abuse. You know, domestic abuse is a dark and silent culture. People don't talk about domestic abuse, and yet it's everywhere. I know because I lived it. For 42 years, I endured domestic abuse. And during all of those years, I never told anyone. I stayed quiet and I never spoke about it. I never spoke about the physical violence, the emotional abuse, the verbal attacks, or those psychological mind games called gaslighting. No, I never talked about it. But now the silence is broken. And we're going to talk about domestic abuse because life after trauma with Dr. Jan is not just a channel. No, it's my story. But before we dive into it, I want us to make sure that you subscribe, like, and comment on what you're going to hear today. Hit that notification button, that bell, so that you never miss a video. Thank you. Now, let's dive in. Again, welcome to episode 23. Today, we are going to talk about some myths of domestic abuse. We're going to pull back the curtain on what's really going on behind closed doors. Because you know what? There are many people who believe false things about domestic abuse, and most of them are just what we call them myths. Myths. So let's start with myth number one. Domestic abuse only happens when there is physical violence. If there's no physical violence, then there's no domestic abuse, right? Of course not. That's not true. And that's why we call it a myth. Domestic abuse does not always leave physical bruises. You know, sometimes it leaves invisible scars, scars that burn deep into the mind, the heart, and the soul. And these invisible scars can hurt just as much as the physical scars, and sometimes even more than the ones that you can see. Let me share a story with you, my own story. Excuse me. I was married twice. My first husband was physically violent. There's no question about that. I was living in fear and abuse. And eventually, I had to leave husband number one. Almost 20 years I endured that marriage. But my second husband, let's call him husband number two, you know, he never laid a hand on me. And yet, his form of abuse cut even deeper than the blows of my first husband. You see, husband number two was a pastor of a prominent church in a big state. He was brilliant, he was charismatic, and he was respected. People just adored him. And I gave up my teaching job to work full time in ministry with him. We were preparing for Vacation Bible School, VBS, and it was always a joyful time and a busy time at our church during the summer. And I was leading the volunteers when his administrative assistant came in and said, Pastor needs you and he wants to see you right away. It's very important. And I smiled and I said, Tell Pastor, I'll be right there. I was so excited. Everything was coming together so beautifully for this VBS. Couldn't wait to share the good news with my husband, Pastor. And when I walked into his pastor's study, he was standing behind his desk in his dark suit, white tie, a white shirt, and a dark tie. And he just looked so handsome to me. Even though we had been married all those years, he still made my heart flutter. And I was just talking a mile a minute because I was so happy and I was so excited about how the Vacation Bible School was turning out. It was going to be the best I felt that our church had ever had. And I just couldn't wait to tell him about what was going on. And in all of my excitement, I did not hear him when he said, Sit down. We need to talk. I'm still going a mile a minute, and his words still haven't registered with me until all of a sudden, Harry, my husband, pastor, shouted at me in a harsh tone, and he said, Sit down and be quiet. I need to talk to you about something that is very important. It was only then that I realized that Harry was not interested in Vacation Bible School or any other church-related matter for that matter. No, Harry had something entirely different on his mind, and whatever it was not going to be good news. And so, not knowing what to do, I braced myself for something horrible. I didn't know what else to do. So I just stood there in the middle of the floor of my husband, pastor's study. I stood dumbfounded. And then this man that I had loved and had been married to for 22 years, he coldly spoke words that would change my life forever. My husband and pastor said to me in his office, I'm sorry, but this marriage is over. I don't love you anymore, and I'm getting a divorce. I was blindsided. I never saw that coming. This matter of a great importance that his secretary had said that he wanted to talk to me about changed my life forever. In that instant, everything changed. Everything that I thought was secure, my marriage, my ministry, my identity, all of that was shattered. Everything shifted. You see, I had built my life around this man. I had trusted him with my heart, and I had supported him in his calling, everything that he had wanted me to do. I had willingly done for him and with him. And now, in this same church where we had prayed, where he had preached, and where the two of us had worked together side by side for years in the ministry, he was now discarding like it didn't even matter anymore. This wasn't just rejection. No, it was humiliation. It was emotional abandonment in the cruelest possible way. My husband, pastor, was discarding me. He was throwing me away just like I was a used Kleenex. This wasn't just rejection. It was emotional abandonment in its cruelest. He was talking on and on about what he was going to do with me. I could hardly breathe. And he was cold, he was distant, and he was unmoved. He kept telling me how he was going to replace me, how he was going to trade me in for a younger model, like some kind of used car. Yes, was older, 10 and a half years older, but that had never meant anything before. We still made a wholesome couple. At least I thought so. But the twist on this is even worse than I'm telling you. By the way, did I tell you that husband number 2 was blind? Yes, he was totally blind from birth. Except this man was so exceptional. He could do everything except drive a car. He was talented. He was amazing. To me, he was a combination between Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles. Brilliant, gifted, magnetic. And yet that day, that same man looked me in my face and said, I'm sorry, this marriage is over. I don't love you anymore. And I'm getting a divorce. No, he never once raised his hand against me. But the damage was done. The wounds were invisible. They cut to my soul. Those words will live in my life forever. Tell me, has anything like this ever happened to you? If so, tell me, what did you do? How did you handle the mental and the emotional trauma? Were you devastated like me? What did you do? I want to know. What would you have done had you been me? Had you been in my shoes? I want you to leave a comment. Won't you? I'm interested in your response. Let me know what you're thinking and just share your comments with me. I really would like to know how you would have handled this situation in the pastor's study. You know, you could help someone in domestic abuse. I know what I would do now, but back then, I learned firsthand that domestic abuse does not have to be physical to destroy you. Sometimes it's just the words that break your spirit. I have so much more, lots more to share with you. But that's all I can say now. I want you to join me the next time as I share what happened next. This is my life. And if my story resonated with you, if it touched your heart in any way, then I invite you to go deeper with me. Drop me a comment and visit my website, www.jnbministries.org. I have written a book, and that book is entitled Testimony of a Kept Woman, From Misery to Ministry Instead of the State Penitentiary. It is an ebook, and it is my memoir. In that book, I tell my story, and in it, I share my full journey. It's raw, it's real, and it's redemptive. It's an easy to read but powerful story of how God turned my pain into purpose. Yes, He did. To get your copy of my book, please visit my website, which is www.jnbministries.org. Also, while you're on my website, explore my online curriculum. It's entitled 7 Power Keys. In 7 Power Keys, it tells how I healed and recovered from the trauma and drama of domestic abuse. Those 7 Power Keys will show you how also. Now, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this channel. Life After Trauma with Dr. Jan. I upload a video every week. And so, until the next time, because there is life after trauma with Dr. Jan, God bless and stay tuned. See you soon.